And that's how you do it. Da 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 da. What's my good cheer? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Let's give you a big dose in that amount of energy that I have accumulated over the course of the evening, and in that little bit of rationing and relaxation, right, that I had over my days off. Sometimes we don't have much to offer the world in what we give out. But because there's a little bit of giving out in the next couple of days, I want to give that in that ah gratefulness, in that job that puts the roof over my head, that has allowed me to have this scheduled. It's kind of a scheduled life for me, this routine of a life for me that allows me to take some of those stresses of house bills off my mind, or gives me a safe place to know that no matter what, at the end of the night, I have a pillow to lay my head down on, that I have that company, right? In my cat, right? That it's not needing a whole lot, but it allows me to feel like I have a little family, right? In that little bit of extra work that I put into myself, in applying myself into what I think is important, priority for myself, right? To make sure that, in this movement I make forward, that I don't step into the same doo-doo, that I might not be so gullible, or what people would call naive, in, right, just wanting to live a good life, right? Hello, Hannah. Hello, dear. Thank you so much for popping in today. And for those of you who pop in, and hope you're putting your feet up and not putting your foot on the gas. And if you are, right, I hope I'm not that one in the moment to trigger you. And maybe that's a little bit of good advice in my content, right? Right? Because it is in delving into some of these emotions and some of these realizations that sometimes we would prefer not to know, to prefer, right? That just not to see it. I think of that often, especially when I am not drawn to be focusing on headline news, or, there are community things going on that I am not being directed to focus my attention to, because I'm so focused on something else. But I believe I'm focused on something beneficial, something that I'm supposed to be focusing on. And I think for each of us, right, that drawing of our attention, sometimes it's a trap, sometimes it's just a matter of, you don't need to see that, you don't need to know that, it's not a concern for you. Somebody else is on top of that, right? I'm not going to go off and do Elon Musk stuff. Elon's doing that. I wouldn't even attempt that. But I'm going off and I'm doing my own thing. And whether or not it's less or more beneficial to where we're supposed to end up, or where we're supposed to be in the moment, right? How do I know? Unless I just keep moving in that. I am directing my energy, right, and my positivity, and that whistle while I work, and those skills and problem solving, and my hypervigilance of always knowing what's going on, and being a good designator, and being grateful that, the people that work for me trust my judgment and know will, if it's a sticky situation, if it's a hard situation, if we're all pooped out, we'll get through it, right? We might get through it with a little bit of pride and a little bit of, wow, we did that. So a little bit of amazement in that. Sometimes it's just in that exhaustion and not having anything left for anything else. And I took that into consideration when I kind of said, "Oh, Cindy, you can do your live when you come home tonight." Yeah, there ain't going to be anything left to come into do my live. And this is a podcast, so people are driving with their foot on the brakes and the foot on the gas as they're listening to me. And maybe that's the opportunity or non-opportunity to be triggered in anything I say. Okay, you guys. I am off to that job, in that opportunity to put a roof over my head and be able to make a little bit of movement for myself and hopefully in the end for others, right? And that's all you can hope for. Whether I succeed in that or not, right? I might not ever know, right? Each one of us quite often don't even know how we impact the person standing next to us or the other person standing on the other end of my podcast and taking me in. Thank you, Hannah, again for popping into my life. Okay, you guys, I've got to run off to work. 2 minutes in a perspective in this word. Wow. You guys who hang out with me, you guys know this has been in the workings. That is in the balance. Is finding my own balance, right? That I might be able to make some movement and be able to enjoy making that movement, look forward to the new adventures, right? I've had a lot of change come into my life, but I don't believe I know we're not even close to achieving that change that is being asked of me, and maybe at some point that I might ask of others. We're not even close to that. But in order to get close to that, I have to make sure that I am enjoying that ride, that I'm feeling comfortable. I'm willing to go into battle with a smile on my face, knowing that I'll give it everything I have. And if my everything is not enough, I'm going to be proud that I showed up anyway, right? And did the very best that I can. I'm not saying that I'm going in and I'm the expert at anything. A lot of it is riding the waves in the moment, right? But that's the balance, that teetering, right? I've talked about that a little bit in the past couple of weeks. Sometimes it's in that teetering, that a little bit of excitement and that little bit of sense of achievement and that little bit of sense of recognition, right? Because if somebody sees you teetering, they're standing there and they're thinking, oh, this person's going to crash, fall flat on their face, right? End up on the ground, destroy themselves. And in that teetering and making it through, that's the evidence. Who can argue with that? Right? Each one of us is the evidence for the person that's standing right next to us. And whether or not we're having an interaction, a conversation, right? At all times, we're either a spectator, a student, right? A teacher, or a participant. And each one of those is taking lessons 100%. Okay, you guys, I've got to run off, right? Everything I have now is going to that job that puts a roof over my head, and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to be exhausted and sore and right, right, and maybe not. Maybe I'll come home and go, oh my goodness, that was so fantastic. I can't wait to get back to work and do it again. Okay, you guys, have a great day. Bye. Andrew, hello.